Yes. Yes, and we got the man. What's going on,
man? Hey, what you saying?
Good, bro. What's good?
Yes, what's going on, people? Back again, Raps on TV, live and from London as per usual. What's going on? Here with the panel today, man like Sam back fresh from Nigeria. Also,
yes.
Darryl, Boxing Lowdown. How you doing?
Come on. All good, guys. What's going on, man?
I'm good, man. I'm doing my boxing talk with Addy impression today. I got a cup of tea by my side, man.
I think it might be needed for today.
I'm telling you, man. So listen, let's get it right. So who went to the hands up? Who went to the pub and who went to the gym? Pub.
You know what? I just got back from the gym. To be fair, literally just got through the door. Yeah. Haven't been to no pub yet, man. Not for me.
Yeah. It's it looked madness. I have to say, last night I saw something from like online and it looked mental. I mean, what do you think, Sam? Have you been to the pub or you been to the gym?
I want to be politically correct and say I have been self-isolating since I've come back. So second day 2 and day 8 testing, once that's all done, I should be all good. But yeah, no, I haven't. I've seen it all on Snapchat and Instagram Live, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Big up Zane in the chat. Good to see you. Yes, good to see you, bro, as well.
Yes, Zane.
Yeah, bro. I mean, listen, it's been a minute that we all sat down anyway. Obviously, Sam's been overseas, Darryl. Got to say, man, great stuff. I'm loving your shows, bro. I caught the other one with you and your pops last week, man. Your dad, for real, though, he's got real boxing knowledge, man. And it's good because, like, he was in the generation, like he said, he saw the whole Hagler Minter build up, like the Hearns and Ray Leonard fights, like. So yeah, bro, it's really good to see his knowledge, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, his knowledge is he's like an encyclopedia, man. I mean, the guy really does. You know, you get people that say they breathe boxing, but he really is about it. Like, we could be on the phone talking about anything else, you know, father and son stuff, and no matter what, it will always come to boxing somehow. Yeah. Like, that's how much the guy lives and breathes it. So yeah, he's a natural, and like, he literally just says how he feels. And it's not always to everybody's opinion, but I'll tell you what, even the people that don't agree with him, they respect what he says because he just, you know, he has conviction with what he's talking about, even if you don't agree with it. So yeah, he's always good to have on the show. And yeah, I mean, he's always good to talk boxing with as well.
Yeah, no, it got me the other day, man, when he come with that little error comment. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, but no, it's been good to catch up. I mean, look, it was a busy weekend just gone. Definitely very active for the welterweights, not just in the UK scene, obviously overseas. So we saw men like Conor Benn get a destructive win. And we also saw guys like Jerome Ennis and Stanios get their wins over in the States. So yeah, looking forward to today's show. But I think really I wanted to start with, I think the tip or the topic on the tip of everybody's tongue, Joshua versus Fury versus Joshua, the deadline. We got to say it right. You know, Michelle Joy Phelps did an interview with Fury yesterday. I'm sure most of us watched it. Fury seemed quite positive. He seemed quite like, you know, he was upbeat about the fight, the chances of the fight happening. So guys, how are you feeling generally? And Sam, I'll start with you. How are you feeling about this fight? Obviously, you just left Nigeria as well. How are they feeling over there?
Yeah, do you know what? I think it's kind of mixed. And I'm going to keep it real. Like, a lot of people seem to feel, obviously, because Joshua's Nigerian or whatever, and they back Nigerian. But a lot of the Nigerian brothers that know their boxing are trying to back Fury, and you know, they've got every right to. They've got every right to back Fury. They say, like, look, Joshua's Nigerian, yeah, but let's strip aside boxing. Like, Fury, we've seen more chinks in Joshua's armor than we have Fury. The way they've kind of put it. And they feel like Fury's been at the big stage. Not that Joshua hasn't been, but this is when he went to America now, you know, they said he fuffled it. He fumbled the bag. Whereas when Fury went to America, you know, he was able to conquer and do what he needed to do. And this was off a massive layoff, you know? So they kind of, you get the boys who were like, yeah, Joshua's going to win, but also you've got quite a few people who are very big on Fury's side and just really excited to see the fight. I just hope they pay-per-view this in Africa, to be honest, because that's a big struggle to be able to get fights out there. That's one thing I wanted to mention, but yeah, it's interesting dynamic.
Yeah, Daryl, yourself. I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, I know you've done a few topics, but how are you feeling today after yesterday's video?
I've always been positive. I've always thought that the fight was going to get done in the summer. I don't know if you remember, a few weeks ago you was on my show, Raps, and yourself and Laurie were talking about it with me about whether the fight will happen in the summer and then again in the winter. But I've always felt, for some reason, I don't know why, but I've always felt that it will happen. And I guess until they both actually meet inside the ring, we can really be certain that it will happen. I mean, there's still plenty of things to overcome, but I'm positive. I think that it still will happen in July. I'm looking forward to the fight. Of course, it just has to be done. And I think we've got this far now in terms of overcoming the WBO situation, overcoming the Deontay Wilder situation. We're this close. I feel like it's going to get done. So I'm positive about it, and it needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Eddie Hearn's come out and said, said a lot of stuff, but he's come out and said Joshua's now in camp for that fight. So again, that leads us to think it's going to be in the summer. I mean, one thing I do wanted to kind of bring to the table is, Saudi Arabia seem to be the front runners or the favorites, but it feels like there could be a curveball in the location. And I say that because the Middle East is still quite hot, July, June, July, August months. And if the fight is going to take place then, that could be a struggle. I mean, from you guys' perspective, where do you feel, and I'll let either of you answer, where do you feel the fight will land? What's your suspicions, or what's your hunch going towards?
I don't care, bro. I don't care. It just has to. It just has to happen. They could fight in someone's back garden. You know what I mean? It's just, it has to happen. It don't affect me, like where it happens, because I'm not going to be able to go to it anyway. So for me, I just want to see it over the line. But if I'm being realistic as to where I think it will happen, I think that there's just so much money being thrown about in the Middle East. I could see it happening there still. You have to take the weather into consideration, but I just think with the money that they're going to be throwing at it, I could see it happening there.
Yeah. And Sam?
Yeah. Part of me is I don't really care where it is. I just hope it's in September, not in August, because I've got commitments in August. But generally, no, I think it will end up in the Middle East because of the weather and whatnot. I think they'll push it back. I feel like a September date could be announced because it's too hot in those dates, unless it's overseas in America or whatever. But everyone knows the money's going to be in Saudi. So I think it will be in September. And hopefully we should be able to get it on. And it will be crazy to see how many people are going to be traveling. And it's going to be interesting to see how relaxed the Middle East are going to be on COVID rules when that fight gets announced.
No, absolutely. I mean, and in terms of, obviously we're getting close. We're expecting an announcement to be soon. Just during these proceedings, and let's say that the battle of the fight. Who do you believe is the A side between these two fighters?
Oh, you can really make a strong case for both of them. I mean, you've got Tyson Fury, who most, if not all people, consider him to be the #1 heavyweight in the world at the moment, considering that he's beaten Deontay Wilder. He has the Ring Magazine belt, the lineal championship. So he can make an argument on that side, but then you can make an argument for AJ. He's got more of the belts. He sold more pay-per-views. He's filled out Wembley Stadium. I mean, it's a difficult one for me. I don't know, actually. I really don't know. You can make a strong argument for both in this scenario. Hopefully, none of them are going to be too fussed about it, but you get with their egos and boxers in general that they will be. So that'll be interesting to see, like, whose name will be on the left side of the poster and whose won't. Like, these little details can make or break a fight. So it will be interesting to see who it actually will be. I actually don't know.
Yeah, no. I well said. I mean, Sam, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm an AJ guy. I think AJ should be leading it, just purely based on his commercial value, what he brings. This is me not taking anything away from Fury. Fury's brought a lot, and yes, he's dethroned Wilder, and he did what he needed to do, and he's undefeated technically. But Joshua's got more belts. Joshua's got the clout, and I just think it just makes sense for it to be a Joshua Fury. it just sounds a bit better from my perspective. It just looks a bit better.
That's definitely Nigerian bias there, man.
What do you think, Raps? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I do think you want to lay all the cards, everything on the table. I do think it's Joshua that's the A side. I think, but to your case, there's an argument for both. You know, obviously, you can talk about in the ring, undefeated Fury. You know, conquering Klitschko, conquering Wilder, fighting overseas. You know, winning in the States. But I think when you talk about the commercials, which you have to talk about at this level, you know, what is the draw in terms of a big financial investment? I feel that Joshua becomes the A side because I think a lot of the commercial deals that they'll be able to make, I feel that will be capitalized more than Fury could have done when he fought Wilder, for example. I think, yes, both of them, in terms of Joshua and Fury, are investable assets, but I think what Joshua's going to bring, even the companies that can't invest in Joshua now will want to invest in Fury because they're going to have their name on the big stage. You know, their brand awareness is going to be increased. And I feel that's Joshua. I also feel with like the negotiations, it feels like it's being driven by Joshua in terms of, okay, we're putting the package together. I know Hearn's saying a lot, but it does feel like that. You know, it feels like the team are kind of leading it. So then I kind of also feel like his team would take the lead on, you know, the little details like your brochures, like your flyers, like all of the, like, is it going to be a matchroom? I believe it will be a matchroom event because if it's overseas in that territory, I think Top Rank, have they fought in the Middle East? No, they haven't. I don't think they've done an event in the Middle East. So I just feel matchroom / Joshua are the A side in these negotiations. However, I think you can be the A side and still be the underdog. And I do think Joshua will be the underdog going into this fight. What do you guys think?
Yeah, for sure, man. Joshua's definitely going to be the underdog going into this fight, especially with all that's gone on over the last year. The amount of flack that Joshua's had versus the kind of praise Fury has. I think, you know, from a casual fan perspective, it's Joshua's going to be very, very, very lucky to come out of alive in this fight. That's the kind of vibe that I'm getting from this casuals. But at the same time, I don't know, man. I think this is going to be, it is one of those 50-50 fights. You don't really know what's going to go on. And that's what real kind of heavyweight, this is what the Undisputed is really about. Not being able for someone to bulldoze their way through, but no one's going to know what's going to happen. Everyone's going to be, you know, watching it from the first bell to the last. So that's what it's about, man.
And D, what's your thoughts?
I had a look at the odds about a week or so ago. Yeah, Fury is the favourite. Understandable. Do you know what I mean? Like you guys said, he's still undefeated. You know, he's gone to America and won. He's beaten Deontay Wilder. And AJ has that loss on his record to Andy Ruiz, even though he redeemed himself in that fight. Some people still feel he's a bit vulnerable, even after that fight. So, yeah, I totally understand with Fury being the favourite. For me, it's a lot closer than like what some of the Twitter keyboard warriors are saying online. I think that it's a lot closer than what they think. I think that Joshua has a real chance of winning this fight. But if you were to put a gun to my head, I'd say Fury is the favourite and rightly so. But that don't mean Joshua can't win. He can absolutely win. And that's why we need to see this. All the marbles are on the line. Both guys put in their prime or near enough their prime. And hopefully, yeah, like we will get to see like these two fight, man.
Yeah. No, and I think, I mean, you touched on something there when you said, you know, probably regarding the skill set, right? Joshua can win. And I do think Joshua can win. I would say, you know, looking at it again on paper, you just say probably Fury's just the Wilder defeat. I mean, the Wilder victory. Obviously, we know about his skill set. You know, he comes into the ring, similar size, if not bigger, you know, probably better fundamentals. But I think what Joshua has for his going in his credit is that he's very hardworking. And I mean that to say, like, if they devise a game plan, like, he will do his best to stick to it. And I think there's a game plan to beat Fury. And I do think it will help if you're strong, as Joshua is. You've got the height that Joshua has, and you've got the speed that Joshua has. And I think those ingredients will give him a good chance. So I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, it's wide, like you're saying. But I think when we speak about the Twitter boxing or boxing Twitter, we know that, you know, there's a lot of elements playing into this fight as well. So, yeah, it's not just what the guys do in the ring. It's what they represent probably for each sets of fan base. But the guys, listen, that was good to catch up on that. So let's move on to the weekend boxing that's just gone. Conor Benn, I don't know about you guys, but that kind of surprised me. I felt he would get the better of Vargas. I didn't think he would do it in destructive fashion the way he did. I don't really think, I know people think it was an early stoppage. I can see why. But I think at the time, in the positioning of the ref, I do think, you know, that it was probably the right thing to do, because you can't have a guy get seriously injured. And I felt that Vargas was totally out of it. But for Benn, I mean, in a weird way, of course, it's great to get a first round knockout. You know, it's highlight reel, and you know you don't get paid overtime. But I think for that caliber of fighter, I think it would have been better for him to have a few rounds in the bank. What do you guys think about, one, the stoppage, and two, what this does for Benn domestically?
I think that, yeah, you can make an argument for it being early. You can make an argument for it, but then at the same time, Vargas was on his way to getting knocked out brutally, I think. I saw like Conor Benn was laying into him. He's still fresh. Vargas was caught. He was defenseless on them ropes for a little while. And I think like an uppercut also snapped his head back. And then Conor Benn was about to lay into him, and the referee just jumped in just before he was about to knock him out. So, yeah, if I was Vargas, like, he really should have took a knee or something, like, just to, you know, just stop the onslaught and get his head together. But like, you would have thought somebody that was a veteran like him and with his sort of experience might have done that. But maybe he didn't expect, you know, we do tend to stop fights, maybe some say earlier than the Americans would. But like, yeah, I would have thought that he would have used his experience a bit more. So I was a bit disappointed in that. But as for Conor Benn, man, I mean, listen, it was unbelievable. It was ruthless. He was sensational. Like, I have to say it, man, because I thought he was going to win, but I didn't think he was going to be like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I thought that he may have to overcome some adversity. I thought that maybe Vargas would be able to drag him a bit later on. Conor Benn, we haven't seen him hit by an elite puncher yet. I'm not saying that Vargas is one of those, but, you know, he can be hit and he can be dropped. So I thought that Vargas would be able to use his experience being in fights against the likes of Virgil Ortiz, Errol Spence, you know, Danny Garcia, those guys. I thought that he'd be able to drag Conor Benn into those deep waters. But listen, man, Conor Benn, fair play to him. He just went, you don't get paid for overtime. He went out there and he just took him apart, and it was great to see, man. Very entertaining.
Yeah. And I mean, before I come to you, I mean, domestically, where do you think this ranks Conor Benn? Where do you think that victory ranks him amongst the domestic fighters? I know he doesn't have a British or whatnot title, but like, where do you think he should be?
Where does Conor Benn rank among domestically?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good. You got some good guys there domestically, man. I mean, you got McKinson, you've got Chris Congo, you've also got Conor Benn, Josh Kelly, and everyone else. But yeah, it's difficult actually. I haven't actually thought about it. I mean, commercially, I don't see Conor Benn fighting the likes of a McKinson, for example. Some people were suggesting it on my show, but as much as I'd like to see it, I could just see Conor Benn either looking at either Kell Brook or Amir Khan domestically, maybe Josh Kelly if he doesn't move up, or he's going to try and build up his profile more. And unfortunately for the likes of Chris Congo and McKinson, like they won't be able to. I don't think Conor Benn will fight him.
Yeah, no, big up a couple of guys in the chat. Zay Moose just saying he knew it would have got stopped. Didn't think it would come so soon. And big up DS Dean in the chat. Evening, bro.
Big up DS.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, Sam, and I mean, yourself, what do you think about the stoppage and Benn's performance?
Stoppage, like you said earlier, I think with a kind of opponent like Vargas, I mean, if you can knock someone out and finish someone in the first round, and the way he did, you take it. But, you know, from a technical and to kind of grow your ring craftsmanship, I think it would have been nice to see him box for a couple of rounds and then going for the kill of the third to fifth round, around that kind of stage. Because I think it lets people know and shows people that, you know, he's here to stay. He's learned a lot from his first few fights. And he's here to stay, and he's grown and improving every fight. Not to say he's not, he is improving massively with every fight, but, you know, to what extent is it now that he wants to be screaming for the world title? I don't know. And this goes back to kind of when all the old school guys like Cole Frotch and whatnot say that, look, this is why the Lonsdale belt is so important. This is why you got to grow yourself up to do the Lonsdale and Commonwealth and whatnot. I mean, look at Lawrence Okoli. He kind of went through the ranks. He hasn't had much of an amateur pedigree besides obviously the Olympics, but that was quite rushed from his kind of career. If you read his book, but he's been able to go through the ranking, and he's now reaping the rewards from it. He's now very confident. He knows he's at a certain level because he's past certain basis, and I think that's what Conor needs to do. But Conor's explosive. He lacks the glitz. He lacks the glamour. He talks a good game. He's got his father's shoes to kind of step into, and he wants to kind of do that and be like the young, fresh guy. So, I don't think from here. I think he needs to really matchmake very, very carefully. I wouldn't go screaming for the world title. I wouldn't think I could beat Sean Porter either. But it's a good win. I think he needs to go back to the drawing board, not fully, but kind of analyze where he wants to go in his career now. I think it doesn't do any harm doing a British defence, or challenging for the British title. But yeah.
Absolutely. And just got a comment here. Benn was scintillating, had him to win, but between mid-late, wasn't expecting what we saw. His team needs to take it easy with him still, as he's not ready for a top 15 welterweight. I think that's a fair comment. And he followed up with saying, DS followed up with saying, if Benn and Khan fought next, I would still lean towards Khan. I mean, I think, and I want to kind of talk about what both of you have mentioned there, and it's sustainability and obviously that glamour factor. And DS is right. His team have to play their cards right quite carefully now, because it's all well and good saying we want him to become a pay-per-view star. But how sustainable is it that he can maintain being a pay-per-view star? Because he's in a division full of sharks, and we'll touch on it a bit later in the show. But, as Sean, what's his name? Johnny Nelson is saying he could beat Sean Porter, which I doubt, because Benn's not ready to go and fight someone like Terence Crawford. But outside of that, on the States, we had Joan Ennis and Stanios, 2 welterweights, and I'm telling you, these guys can fight, and I would rank them higher than Conor Benn. So, yeah, it will be really interesting to see how his team play it. But fair play to him, because I've got to hold my cards up and say, listen, I thought this guy was just in boxing because of his pop's name. I didn't think this guy would do anything, and he's definitely worked hard. You can kind of tell when he speaks, he works hard. And I do think probably the best option for him now is slow down on the pay-per-view fight on the right route, but go with somebody domestically. If you think you can beat Josh Kelly and you're confident, then you know what, take that fight. If you think you can beat a Floyd Marku, the money's not big, but guess what? You're going to learn from it, and he kind of needs to do a bit of that now, I feel. But yeah, just on that though, I mean, there was a talk of Khan versus Brook. Would you rather see Khan versus Brook face each other, or one of those two guys face Conor Benn?
Khan versus Brook, man. Khan versus Brook. You kind of want it. That's been a build up for years, man. Everyone would want to see that. I don't think it's died down, because these guys are both kind of at the stage towards the end of their careers, if not. And I would want to see that. Benn and Khan, not as much, because if Benn wins, it's like, okay, great. But at the same time, if Khan wins, we would expect him to win, because Conor's not at that level. So it's not that much of a risk. Whereas these two have got ego. Everything's on the line with that. Yeah. And also they don't like Eddie as well, which is kind of spices things up.
D, Darryl, what's your thoughts?
I agree with Sam. The thing is, I don't know if more people would want Khan versus Brook at this stage, but I do agree with Sam that that's what I'd want to see. I still want to. Listen, the two guys, they're both out their prime. They're both looking to end their career. And right, I mean, they've both had successful careers. They're at that stage now. I don't. If I'm either of them, I'm not looking at Conor Benn and thinking I need to fight him. Why? And that's no disrespect to Conor Benn, but at this stage, I don't think that they need it. So one more fight against each other. There's a built-up rivalry there. People turn their eye at it now, but I reckon when the build-up happens and then Sky push their promotional behind it, then I reckon that it could get as big as it can be. It will never be as big as it should have been when they should have fought back in 2014, 13, whatever. But I think let them two fight and then retire, man. I'm not as interested in seeing Benn versus Khan or anything like that. I'd like to see Conor Benn. It's not going to happen, but I'd like to see him fight one of their domestic opponents, maybe even a Josh Kelly at this stage. A lot of people kind of were laughing at Conor Benn, thinking that he'd have no chance against Josh Kelly. Now, if they were to fight, you'd get more people back in Conor Benn. And I saw that Josh Kelly actually called him out after the fight. And I think that's the first time he's even done that. Before, he never really used to acknowledge Conor Benn that much, but now he's the one calling him out. So I agree with you. I don't think that we should rush him, man. I mean, Johnny Nelson, bro, when he said that on Saturday night, I messaged everyone. I was like, did he really say that? But it was just this is the problem with like British pundits sometimes, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we tend to go over the top at
Mm.
times. And Conor Benn's only 24 years old. He's got a long career ahead of him. He's got the matchroom machine behind him. No need to rush him into the deep welterweights, man. Like the amount of talent that there is at welterweight, like DS said,
Yeah.
there's no point rushing him. I wouldn't make him a favourite against any of those guys, Virgil Ortiz, Jerome Ennis, and forget about Sean Porter. Like DS says there, forget about Porter. Like,
yeah, exactly. No, bro. I mean, I put that out because literally you guys are on the same page. I think we're all on the same page with the Sean Porter talk. And unfortunately for Johnny Nelson, he's got a catalogue of errors. And I like Johnny, but like you shoot yourself in your foot coming out with that. You know, what was it?
The Tennyson one was crazy.
Belly with levels against Usyk. But I have to be honest though, when I thought about this question, like I wasn't too keen on the Book versus Khan. And I have to be honest, I'm like, yeah, but I think
a lot of people aren't.
If I'm being honest, I think I was thinking I wasn't using my boxing cap because truth be told, like you guys said, once it's announced and we're like, okay, we've got a date, got a venue, then they start build up. There's bound to be a face off, you know, or head to head, like gloves are off talk. So all that would begin to bring up the build up, and then you're kind of saying to yourself, you know what? There's a real grudge match here at the very least, which will get settled. It won't be as entertaining. And I just think both of them are kind of damaged goods in a way. But it would be a good fight to watch. Actually, I think we've got to have that fight. To be fair, I think if we can't get that fight, it doesn't make sense for either guy to be fighting. I mean, who should Khan fight now? Like he can't challenge for titles, and the same for Brook. He's not going to challenge for a world title. So just fight each other. It's going to be interesting. So moving on though, this weekend we've also got Andrade, and big up Comrade Boxing that's just landed in the chat. Great show, girls, quality content. Appreciate it, brother. For all you guys that are tuned in, please remember to subscribe, hit that like button. As we say, it's free, and we've got to build the channel. But this weekend we've got Andrade versus Williams. And I'm just going to quickly hit this off, guys, and then I want to hear thoughts from yourselves. But like, I like Williams. I think Williams is a good fighter. I think he's entertaining in terms of being good on the eye, applies pressure. You know, he tries to go for knockouts, power punches. Usually doesn't just stand behind the jab, throws big shots. Andrade is a bit of a myth. Let's be fair. You know, great reputation, big reputation. So hasn't massively delivered. What bit of Marmite? You know, if you like his style, you like him. If you don't like his style, you definitely don't like him. But I can't help but feel that, like, and you spoke about it there, this British public. I can't help feel that there's a lot of gas, or maybe people are giving Liam Williams too much of a chance. Like, I think people need to understand, like, Andrade still operates at an elite level. He is a quality fighter. He understands the sweet science, knows how to box. And I'm not going to say do a number, but I do think, like, I could see Andrade winning this, like without question, like, not even though Williams was really in the fight. Am I doing Williams a disservice, or what do you guys think?
Nah, you're not. I mean, Williams is exciting. Williams is an exciting guy. He's a British guy. You know how the Brits get behind the Brits, man. So he's an up and coming guy. I've seen him call out a lot of people like Eubank and whatnot. So I think it would be good to see him at this stage. I think this is probably one of the biggest fights he's had. It'll be interesting to see how he acts. I'm not sure if he's still under Dominic Ingle, but I feel like with an experienced coach like Dominic Ingle, he should be able to guide him to a good victory. But then again, you've got the Marmite factor of Andrade. He hasn't delivered, talks a good game, has been hyped up a lot by Eddie Hearn and whatnot. It's just now a stage of let's see these guys and see what these guys have got to offer. I don't know when Andrade last fought, but I think it's been quite a while for him. What'd you say?
And I think I want to say he fought last year, but yeah, I'll double check.
Yes, I haven't really heard too much about him, his activity and whatnot. So I think it'll be good. I think for Liam Williams, it's great if he wins. Big for him. Really big look for him. He can start calling out the names of Eubank, and I want to see him and Eubank get it on, because I want to see if Eubank's really about it or not, because it's just kind of crazy the way his career's just gone. But more on Williams.
And Darryl, what's your thoughts generally on obviously this fight, this matchup? Was I doing Liam Williams a disservice?
No, I mean, Andrade. I mean, for me, if Andrade is, I have to say, it's been disappointing because the potential that he had, following him for the number of years, he was like pound for pound level sort of potential. Do you know what I mean? And he has the ability. I mean, he was an elite amateur, and we've seen flashes of it, but we just haven't seen it enough. For me, if he's anything close to his best, if he's anything close to 100%, then I think that he outboxes Liam Williams. I mean, Liam Williams has improved massively over the last couple of years. Since he's gone with Dominic Ingle, I think he's looked great. But let's keep it 100, man. He hasn't fought anybody world level, even since his loss to Liam Smith. So as good as he's looked, he hasn't fought anyone at the top level. But then Andrade hasn't looked that great either. Like, as much as he's got the potential, he didn't look great in that fight against Fox, I believe his name was. So it really depends on him and whether he's taking it seriously enough. If he's not, then I think he's in trouble. I think that Liam Williams will bring it, and I think that he's relentless, and I think that he still is with Dominic Ingle. But if Andrade is anything close to his best, I can see him outboxing Liam Williams. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it.
And I was going to say, I'm looking forward to it. Another comment from DS: if Andrade is anywhere near his best, he schools Williams. I don't think he's yet lived up to expectations, but he'll have too much for Williams. There's levels to this game, exactly, bro. And that's why I think one thing that I say, obviously, Williams applies. Like, to be fair, he does apply educational pressure, and it has a purpose. But you know, I think for me, age could play a factor. But Andrade's been slightly inactive, so has he got that much miles in the clocks? You know, usually, yes, his fights do go 12 rounds. He outpoints guys, but that's relatively easy for him as well. So, yeah, I just think, you know, it should make for a big fight, a great fight, because I think you are looking at two contrasting styles. But I think when I look at Andrade, and I think, you know what, you know, when he was fighting Billy Joe, I don't know what you guys thought. I thought that could have been a 50-50 fight, because it's like
100%,
standing off each other, right? So it's about who makes best use of the ring and in terms of the range and distance. So, yeah, I don't think Liam Williams is of Billy Joe Saunders' level. So, yeah, I think back to what DS said, there's levels to this. I mean, in terms of Andrade, though, do you think it's important that he wins in style against Liam Williams?
100%. Like, we saw Terence Crawford beat the drum for him to fight Canelo not too long ago. Like, if Andrade is going to get, and I would like to see him fight, you know, one of these top guys at middleweight or even super middleweight. But he's going to have to do an impressive job on Liam Williams, man. It won't be easy because Liam Williams will be relentless. But if you really are that dude, do you know what I mean? If you really are that guy that you should be, with the potential that you've got, then yeah, we need you to do a number on him. But it's going to be a good fight because Liam Williams is going to bring it, and it's going to be interesting to see like how Andrade deals with it. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I can't remember the last time he's been in the ring with an opponent that's this confident and really believes he can win. So yeah, I think it's a good test for him, and I'd like to see how he deals with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And listen, I mean, Sam, before we move to the callers, any comments on that fight? I mean, I might as well get your prediction now. Who wins?
I don't know, bro. I'm not even too sure. Let me actually know. I used to be the prediction king, but let me settle a little bit.
He's on the fence. He's on the fence, man.
I swear, prediction king, you know, this guy, man. He's been sipping that Nigerian Guinness for sure, man. Yeah, so come on, bro. We need the prediction.
I'm saying Andrade on points. I'll say Andrade on points.
You
know what? Williams, KO, just for the sake of it.
Okay, you see. Okay, I like that. I hope that's... Let's see. I mean, I have to say, I'll give my pick now. I'm going Andrade on points. I was thinking late stoppage, but I feel Williams is quite durable. And Andrade's going to have to fight in a way we've never seen him fight before. After, I think.
But if Williams stops Andrade, boy, that's big trouble.
Yeah, and that, to be honest, I think it's better. I know this might sound weird. I think it's better if Williams does win, because I feel he'll probably provide us more entertaining fights. He'll get in the 100%. Rings with opponents that are probably of a respectable level. Whereas with Andrade, again, he can win this, but I don't know who is he going to fight? You know, I feel like he struggles to get fights made, and yeah, he's like you were saying earlier, his resume is not great. whilst it is better than Williams. So listen, I'm going to move on to the callers now. Got a couple of guys in the background. I can see one of my residents, Mr. Appia, 985. 985. Yes, how are we doing, sir?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well, thank you. Very well, thank you, gents.
What's on your mind, bro?
Boy, Conor Benn,
Rip
roaring, fantastic, sensational, very aggressive on the front foot.
Yeah.
Boxing Saturday night, you know, got in the ring, done the job, went home. I like, you know, sometimes I like other things more than just the actual fight, the build up. I like the end, you know, where, you know, when he stopped him, the way he reacted, just to say, yeah, I'm the man, I'm the man. I really felt that. And yeah, I think Conor Benn is in with a chance. I think he's got a chance. I mean, he's in a division with a lot of good fighters, right? He's weight class, but I think he's got a chance of he's got the confidence, which I like, which people sometimes mistake for arrogance. But I like his personality. I'm enjoying it. I like it. So yeah, fantastic performance Saturday night. Yeah. So
right. Quick question, Daniel, on the Benn. Do you think it's better to let him build and maybe challenge for titles in 2 years as opposed to maybe 1 year?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think with you. I think I think he should take his time. I think he should take his time. You know, take his time and not rush things. You know what I mean? Don't rush it. You know, take his time. Definitely.
Absolutely. And what else is on your mind? Question to the guys.
Boy, like Andrade and Williams. I've heard your prediction.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam was saying that he thinks. Well, he weren't sure, so he predicted Williams to knock out Andrade.
Yeah.
I mean, forgot the other dude who's in the studio with you.
It's Daryl from the Boxing Lowdown.
I forgot his prediction.
Yeah.
I can't remember if
it's Andrade.
Andrade. I'm going to go for Andrade.
Yeah.
Myself, I'm going to go for Andrade on point. Andrade, clever fighter, and who gets the job done. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to go for him on point.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah.
No,
yeah. So
appreciate that.
Yeah.
And before we let you go, thoughts on the deadline? The deadline is today, set by Tyson Fury, Joshua versus Fury. Yeah. I mean, Joshua versus Fury, Fury versus Joshua. You looking forward to seeing that being announced?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that being announced. That's massive fight. So I'm looking forward to that being announced. And definitely.
Perfect.
And I'm looking forward to other big fights being announced, you know, as well, coming up soon. So
that's what we're here for.
Always got an eye out. But yeah, that'll be a big fight, definitely.
Absolutely. So listen, D, thank you. Appreciate that. That's the route. We're going to move on to the next caller, but thanks for your support as always. Don't forget to hit that like button.
Thank you.
Take it. Cheers, man.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, thanks. Going out to Uncle. I'm going to Sam, I'll let you take the lead. I think this is Uncle.
Hey.
How you doing, sir?
Hi, guys. How are you
What's
doing?
going on, Uncle? Long time.
I'm getting a bit worried. You know, Sam and I are family. And I heard his prediction. So I can only think he's been drinking too much palm wine in Nigeria.
He said he's the prediction king.
Williams to knock out Andrade.
Yeah.
Sam, I think I'm going to be talking to your dad tonight. This assessment done on you.
So, Uncle, I'm thinking Andrade's for the. You think Andrade's going to win? Walk through Williams then?
Andrade is a different class. I mean, come on. There are levels to this game, son.
Yes, son. Say that again, Uncle.
What's Williams going to beat Andrade with?
Yeah.
Look, don't pick guys just because they're British. Come on. This is boxing.
We're getting told off there, Sam. I mean, but Uncle, to your point, I think, you know, Williams is best asset really is his pressure, but I agree with you. I think Andrade is smart. You know, he would have fought guys like this before.
Don't you think Andrade has had a career because of his skills and his abilities that people try and pressure him all day long?
Exactly.
No, that's true.
But you think he hasn't fought Mexicans in the gym and in fights who want to pressure him?
But again, I like upsets.
There's a reason. There's a reason. What's his name? Triple G or whatever they call him is not keen to get in there with Andrade.
No, we hear you, Uncle. We hear you. So, Uncle, let's talk about Conor Benn.
Conor Benn, I'm like you. Conor Benn, he's done well. He's improved. His previous fights has improved. I do wish that the ref had actually let the fight go on a bit longer. I think Vargas was gone, but Vargas doesn't think he was gone. And in America, they'll have let it go on a bit longer because sometimes I think in this game you need the conclusive finish so the other guy can't talk crap. But look, people need to pipe down. Conor Benn is improving. He's become better than even I thought he would ever be. But people are starting to talk crap now. I heard him from Sean Porter. Do they want to get this guy killed?
That's the common consensus, you know.
I mean, look, Sean Porter is the kind of guy who even great fighters struggle with Sean Porter.
Exactly.
You're going to sacrifice this boy and put him in with a man like Sean Porter, an experienced man. If you want to finish Conor Benn's career, then put him in with Sean Porter.
Exactly.
That's the most stupid thing I've ever heard.
You think that's a sackable offense? I don't want to be cruel, but
you know? Because you put him in with welterweight has always been shark-infested waters. Okay? Do with Conor what the great Mickey Duff did with Lloyd Honey. Let him learn his trade and improve. So when the time comes, you maximize his opportunities. You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's I like Conor. Don't let people shouldn't be stupid.
Absolutely.
The tendency that happens sometimes in because people get carried away. Now, you were talking about Joshua Fury, There's the number of points which I wanted to address. Look, they're both A side fighters, but Joshua clearly is the A side. The side is the economic money maker, full stop. It's not about necessarily who is the better fighter, or it's not about who's the favorite. It's who can earn the most money, and that's Joshua, full stop. But that's not the issue in this one. The issue is the matchup, which I think is excellent. Okay, and I keep maintaining the worst thing that's happened for Tyson Fury in this matchup is style-wise. I think AJ has always been a bad style matchup for him. But the worst thing is when AJ got knocked out by Andy Ruiz Jr. It's made him the underdog. It gave him a lot to shoot for. But worse than that, he's actually gone to relearn certain aspects of his trade and he's a much more dangerous fighter now than before.
Yeah.
So, no excuses. I want blue guys in the best of shape. Saudi Arabia, we're coming. And AJ, I mean, look, there are two ways this fight is going to go. And I know people think I'm mad and all of that. There are two. I have good friends who think people's good opinions about boxing I respect, who think Fury will win. But I'm telling you now, there are two ways this fight ends. If Fury comes with the Kronk style to use against Wilder, he's going to find out AJ is not Wilder and he gets clipped early. If he does what he should do, which is fight the way he did against Vladimir Klitschko. Yeah, I've been rewatching that fight because I've been trying to see how does Fury win this fight. That's the kind of performance he needs to maximize his chances. If that happens, then we're going to take him out late.
See, I like that bias. But Uncle, listen, we're going to have to move on just because of time, but I appreciate the support as always. When we get the announcement, I'm sure we'll be having you on the show to get your pick. But I appreciate the support as always. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Take care. So, guys, listen, I just want to wrap up and talk about some of the boxing on the weekend. We'll make it a bit of a fire conversation. I think finish off with the UK card. Two strong, relatively strong performances. Savannah Marshall, Shannon Courtenay, defeating their fighters, obviously retaining a world title and winning a world title. I think, do you make that a strong position for women's boxing? Do you think we're starting to see the increase now of women's boxing coming up to a level? We've got Taylor Jonas. There's talk of Marshall versus Shields. You think we're going to see improvements in the next year?
100%. I mean, women's boxing has come on a long way and it's still coming on. I think we need to see Claressa Shields against Savannah Marshall. It needs to happen. There was a lot of hype after Savannah Marshall's win last weekend. I mean, the opponent, we knew she was going to win that fight, but literally all over the timeline, people were talking about her against Shields. So hopefully that does happen. And Katie Taylor, she's fighting Natasha Jonas. Looking forward to that. Jessica McCaskill, she looked good the other day. Women's boxing is on the up, man. Shannon Courtenay and Ebony Bridges, that was a great fight. Do you know what I mean? So, like there's a lot of entertaining fights out there to be made. Absolutely. And Savannah Marshall and Claressa Shields is top of the list. Yeah, I'll pay for it. I'd actually pay for that fight. No joke.
I'm going to be a question. Would you pay pay-per-view for that?
Yeah, I mean, the level of pay-per-view nowadays, should I say, with how it is nowadays, the sort of cards that are on pay-per-view, people will disagree with me, but I really want to see that fight. I think it's a great fight and two good characters, and let's see it.
Yeah, no,
a lot of history there as well.
Yeah. Sam, I'll come to you and then I'll go back to that point. Sam, your thoughts on women's boxing?
Women's boxing is on the rise. Shannon Courtenay and Bridges, that was a good fight. It just shows that both these athletes have put everything on the line and have got a long way to go. I feel that there's still, I was interested to see comparing Courtenay to Bridges. It shows that Courtenay's come a long way. She was the better boxer and boxed really well. She was deserving of the win. But no, women's boxing is coming a long way, especially with weigh-ins like that. The way people were reacting to it all over Twitter, man, it was crazy. I mean, if weigh-ins keep being like that, I mean, women's boxing will go through the roof. And I mean that in the most before the females come at me, I mean that in the most respectful way. But it sells. Like, I haven't seen that many people get hyped up about a fight before, and I think that could be the new angle going forward. But
You know what? Look, I mean, that's an interesting point there because there was a lot of criticism. I mean, personally, I thought it was all a bit tongue-in-cheek. I think if you follow Bridges on Twitter, you understand she calls herself the blonde bomber, and like she is kind of like whatever, that's her style. I don't really mind it. I know people say, well, of course not, you're a man, but for me, I just thought, you know what, like it brought something different. I don't think it's sustainable for every single female boxer to do it. So she's probably the cleverest one in terms of being the first to do that on probably a bit more of a high platform. So I think it works for her. Of course, she didn't get the win. let's see what happens for a next fight. But I would bet money that Eddie Hearn brings her back on another card this year. So yeah, I think for women's boxing definitely strong. And just to Daryl's point about paying for it. I mean, I'm glad you said that, because I remember staying up to watch Shields versus Hammer, and I'll be honest, I was kind of excited for that fight, because I was like, boy, this is a tough fight. Hammer was an experienced pro. Shields was still she's on her trajectory. The weight and the height was against her. Probably even like the experience was going against her. And for me, I watched that fight and I was like, boy, you know what? This is a good fight. But interestingly, it reminded me, I think Savannah Marshall is a good fighter. I think she can actually box really well.
Yeah.
I'm certain she hits as hard as they say. But I think this narrative that she's going to knock out Clarissa easy, I think they should probably calm down with that, because like Clarissa's season vet, I think as much as, yes, she's lost to Marshall, I want to say that she's beat her. So I maybe that's not accurate, but I'm pretty certain I read somewhere that in the amateurs, Shields has also beaten Marshall on their come up. So I think it's a good fight. Like you said, Darryl, I want to watch it. And I just think don't rule out Shields, because she is a top fighter. And she's going to make that fight, get the right eyeballs. Moving on to the US card though, and we just got a comment here from Comrade Boxing. I wonder if women's boxing could be sold to Trilla's audience. Exactly. Absolutely. Great point. And even speaking of Triller, I mean, we'll talk on that later, but we got Regis Progress fighting this weekend on against Ivan Redcatch, which again, that's Triller trying to build their platform up, really. So I think that's a good look for them. Regis Progress is a good fighter. But on the US, we saw Jaron Ennis and Stanionis fight on the PBC card. Now, for me, these are two welterweights, so I've got to say, I think they're both talented guys. I felt maybe they were going to be on a bit of a collision path, because they both fought on the same card. Probably not, because I think you might not want to risk both of them. But Jaron Ennis, for me, looks like he could go in with some of the top dogs. I think he could go in with a Danny Garcia or Keith Thurman or I'm not going to talk about Broner, or Khan. I think he could easily go in with these guys and probably get the win. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, bro. I completely agree with that. He's a talented guy, and I think Broner will be a good opponent for him to kind of see where he is. But I think that's a better matchup than what's been said before with Conor Benn and whatnot. But yeah, I don't even think Conor could mix with him personally. Yeah.
I think he's one of the brightest young prospects in the game, man. One of them, 23 years old. He looks sensational, man. Lipinets, he just completely did what he said he was going to do. Dominated and stopped him. And I just think that he's got it all. There's not going to be many people, unfortunately, that are going to want to fight Jaron Ennis. I think that he's going to have to put himself in a position for these guys to fight him. I think he even acknowledged that, to be fair. He was just brilliant against Sergey Lipinets, man. To be fair, going into the fight, I did think that Lipinets' style was made to make Jaron Ennis look good, but it was still a step up. Do you know what I mean? And I think he's the real deal, man. He's the goods. Him, Virgil Ortiz. And one thing that you got to admire about them both is that they're both calling out the top guys right now. Even though they like Virgil Ortiz said he wasn't ready for Crawford, but he said you still call him out. Like Jaron Ennis said he's ready for any welterweight right now. This is the sort of thing that we want to see, man. And it's only going to bring more fans to them. So best of luck to both of them, man, because they're both very talented. Jaron Ennis could be the most talented of them all. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how he progresses, man, for sure.
No, absolutely. We've got a comment there from DS. He said, Ennis is a problem. For me, he beats everyone, I guess, in 147 outside of Spence and Crawford. I think you're right. I may add Pacquiao to that list. I think just because of Pacquiao's style. But, I could see Ennis getting the win there. But I feel like, Pacquiao, he's on legendary status, so we'll give him probably about a few points.
I think we need to see him hit again from someone that can hit at welterweight, from an elite welterweight. I think a Keith Thurman fight would be a great fight for him to go up. If he's ready for all the welterweights, like he says, Keith Thurman would be someone that I'd like to see him in with, because Thurman hasn't been as active, probably the right time to get him, but he still carries the threat of the power and speed. So that would be interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, to add to that, I mean, because of Thurman's inactivity, I'll make you right with the styles. But But I think a good test would be someone like Ugas, because for me, I think I rate Ugas highly. I even think, you know, it's more than likely he's going to fight Spence. It's going to be a unification fight. But I don't think that's a walk in the park. For me, Ugas has got like the fundamentals. He's got the height. I think he can. He's he looks like a strong individual. I think that would even be a great test, because I guess to your point, we do need to really see where Ennis's next fight really has to be a benchmark. Like, what level is he going to operate at? And I think him going via the rankings, I think that's going to be a sure way to do that. So I think just starting to go back to your starting point, I think he's got to go through the rankings to get a world title shot. I don't think anyone's going to just voluntarily fight him.
That's what Errol Spence did. Errol Spence had to do that. You know, he went the IBF route, and then he ended up becoming a mandatory, fought Kell Brook in his hometown. But before then, he was the same sort of guy. I mean, people weren't like choosing to fight Spence. He had to earn his way, and I think Jordan Ennis might have to do the same thing.
Exactly. And it's just one from Comrade Boxing. He says, no one wants to burn their fingers on Ennis. Absolutely agree. Really curious what name they will come up with for him. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a great question. Who can he fight now? It's similar to the Conor Benn dilemma, but I think, you know, if Ennis was to fight Porter, I think there's nothing in it for Porter, right? But I feel like if you heard that fight was happening, you'll be like, boy, you know what? This is a good test for Ennis. If he comes to wins, you know, just and wins, that says a lot about where he's going. And it's probably a bit more of a matchup we would probably like to see, because I think, you know, speaking to your point, Daryl, I watched the fight on Saturday. I remember getting up and I was excited because I liked what I saw, and I was like, this is a guy that I feel people can get behind. So I really want to see him tested. You know, I have to say that. I might be a bit harsh on him, but because he might not get the fights, but I really want to see him tested. I really want to see him tested. And then moving on, we saw on the top rank card, the Nigerian hard-hitting Efe Jagba coming in with another stunning KO. Still look quite slow. It looks like he still needs that WD-40. I think he is a powerful fighter, but I think you can see he's still learning. You know, even when I see some videos, I like him. You know, he's been on the platform before, but with K Karoma, who he's working with, I can see they're taking him through the fundamentals. They just need to make sure that he realizes that he needs to be more mobile. What did you guys think of Efe Jagba's performance?
I'll let you go, son.
Oh, okay. Efe, the Nigerian nightmare. Yeah, he is showing he's a raw talent. I think they're working on him. I think he shouldn't rush too soon. But yeah, I like what I see from him at the moment. I think he needs to just brush up on the fundamentals, like you said, get the WD-40, get a bit more fluid, and it'll be interesting to see. I think he could give a lot of top heavyweights some problems, man. But yeah, I just think he's not at that stage yet to be touching near the heavyweight. I think he needs to do his whole kind of service, the kind of doing the rounds, fighting the guys, getting into shape. You know, do you know who I'd like to see him? I'd like to see him fight Otto Wallin. You know,
bro,
I'd like to see those two. I'd like to see those two have it.
Bro, Otto Wallin could beat him, you know, bro.
This is what I'm saying, but it's a good test for Efe, because Efe is powerful, man. Efe is a real powerful guy.
And I know what you are, right, but you know what it is with Efe? I feel like he's even got to start lower, man, because I think like he's got to get into the rhythm of like 1-2, then like 1-2 hook, and and I'm not saying it to be dismissive because he's a champion, but like he is the kind of Wilder 2.0 in terms of like his power's seen him through a lot, so he's not able to kind of like really work on fundamental, like even the footwork. I think, and Wallin, if he beats Wallin, do you know what I mean? Then it's going to be like, well, who's next? I think probably start a little bit lower and then gradually get there. But so, I mean, do you think Efe Jagba could beat Joe Joyce?
Nah, stay away from him.
I wouldn't put him in with Joyce. Nah,
stay away. Stay the hell away. No way.
I like a Jagba, man, because like there are fundamental flaws there, but you saw what he can do. Like he can end the fight with one punch like that, and that's what like gets fans on the edge of their seat, knowing that somebody. It's a bit like Wilder. Like, you know, he's not perfect in terms of his ability and stuff, but he's got the punching power to end it any second. And Jagba showed that like the other night. Do you know what I mean? And look at the knockout. Do you know what I mean? We saw the flaws, but then we saw the ending. And that's what's very entertaining, man. We love seeing stuff like that, especially with heavyweights.
We love to see it.
Absolutely. So and then the last fight, before we go, Smith Jr. versus Vlasov. What did you guys make of that fight?
I didn't actually catch it. So Daryl, did you see it?
Yeah, very entertaining fight, man. One that Joe Smith Jr. was in adversity from. Do you know what I mean? We spoke about it on my show on Sunday, and you know, at times he was going through it. He was confused. He was a bit befuddled by what Vlasov was bringing to the table, man. And I haven't seen much of Vlasov, but I was impressed with him. I liked what he was doing. It was something different, and I think that Joe Smith Jr. He got the majority decision. I think he had to have a strong ending to secure that. But it was an overall good fight, man. I enjoyed it. One of the better fights this year for sure, man. I thought it was a very good one. And hopefully I get to see Maxim Vlasov again.
Yeah. I mean, well, I got to follow up on that because like I didn't know anything about him. But to that point, I want to see Vlasov again because watching him, it was like, who's the guy they called the drunken monkey, the drunken monkey fighter, like from back in the days, I want to say the 80s, early 80s. Well, it was like that because literally I was like, hang on a bit, like what weight is this guy? He's a light heavyweight, he's moving like he's a flyweight. He's kind of like in the pocket, he's out, he's putting his sticking his chin, he's sticking it back out. Swift was confused. And I have to say I've not watched it back, so I probably will watch it back. But I'll put my neck on the line and say I actually felt that Vlasov just nicked it. Because whilst he tired in the later rounds, I felt he was so dominant to start the fight, and it just took Joe Smith a long time to get into his rhythm. Arguably, he didn't really get any rhythm. It was just a lot of like, okay, land a shot, clinch, land a shot, clinch. So I guess he was getting closer to Vlasov, which Vlasov wouldn't have wanted. But yeah, I thought it was an entertaining fight. But Vlasov, I think we've got to see him again. I think whilst he might not beat the other light heavyweights, you know, it's again division full of sharks. I think he'll be in some entertaining matchups. I mean, could you imagine Vlasov versus a Josh Boatsy? And Boatsy's my guy, but like Boatsy would have to work out how to defeat a Vlasov. Do you know what I mean?
That style can give a lot of people problems, man.
Huge
It give problems.
Yeah, huge amount of problems, bro. So listen, gents, man, it's been a pleasure having you guys back on the panel today. Before we go down, do you want to just give out your handles, your social media handles, let people know where they can find you and when?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for having me on, bro. Always good to chat boxing with you two guys, man. Been a pleasure. For those of you that want to catch up with me, hit up the Boxing Lowdown on YouTube, boxing_lowdown on Twitter, and Boxing Lowdown, all one word, on Instagram. I'm active on all 3 platforms, so feel free to hit me up. And happy to talk boxing with anyone, man. So shout me.
Yeah, no, make sure you do check out his videos, man. Like I said, him and his pops have some good debates, really enjoyable, great fan interaction as well. So yeah, thank you very much. Big Sam, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. A bit rusty, you know. A bit rusty. It's nice to have clear Wi-Fi. I mean, you know, I was supposed to jump on Daryl's platform. Well, I did jump on it, but we had so many Wi-Fi issues. But I can assure you that's not going to happen again. Or that's not going to happen again. But no, man, it's good to be back. Looking forward to catching up with everyone and all the fans and getting into it, man. Bring on Saudi with AJ Fury, man. Nigeria rules boxing. You heard it here.
Right, well, then I'm not going to say much about that for now, but I think, yeah, just to echo what you both said, it's been good talking today. Really enjoyable episode. So those that are listening on the podcast, iTunes, please remember to give this podcast a like, and if you can, leave a review. And if you are on YouTube or Instagram, remember to share, subscribe, like, do all the positive things. We need to grow the channel. That's what we're trying to do this year. But I appreciate that as always. Guys, listen, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your evening. We are out. Peace.
Peace, man.
Peace.